That thumbnail is highly inappropriate. I should probably change that. Like an actual image of something. Maybe it should be that right there. Nah, I'll get to it later. I was just like planning on starting the video and I forgot about the thumbnail thing. And I was like, oh wait, thumbnail. Then I had to make the hard decision. Do I try to do something serious and like, or oh, the truth about terrorism? No, I don't know. Or do I just say, fuck it, move on? So, fuck it, I'm moving on. But anyways, it is now just about to turn 3 o'clock in the morning here in Louisiana. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. And welcome back to the Easy Reefers channel. Previously on the Lost Begotten channel. I have provided photographic evidence, that is, slowed down and stilled video images taken from a wide variety of sources, mostly here on YouTube. Detailing out Russia's involvement in just about everywhere you've ever heard that there was fucking terrorism happening. Including its ongoing support for the so-called Axis of Evil Nations, Iran, North Korea, and Syria. Now, before I discuss a summary of what's been previously reported, I wanted to go ahead and share what made me say, fuck it, I'm going to go ahead and make a video. See, like, I only got a few hours, and it's like either I'm going to, sleep or find some hookers to kill, and I chose to go ahead and make a video because, well, I'm all out of CO2 charges for my net gun, and I'm not chasing hookers on foot. So, I saw this news story. Yeah, these are the jokes, folks. These are the fucking jokes. I saw this news story on Sky News. Now, Sky News hasn't popped up on my shit since 2016, okay? And as far as I'm concerned, they are a non-incorporated RT affiliate that is corporately removed, and you can trust them because they have reporters with British accents, basically, is their strategy there. And after Trump got elected, suddenly they're concerned about it and shit, and then I just haven't seen them since. But it would never occur to anyone to like have a strategy with their bullshit. Like saying they didn't know they would win. How Donald Trump's, the whole campaign, and Morning Joe just keeps wanting to fucking tell you. They didn't know they would win. Like, that's I don't even see the point that they're supposed to be making anymore. It's just fucking annoying. When people act like that, I start wondering about the frequency of people with thick black rim glasses on their show. That's all I'm saying. And you know, I love Mika. I love Joe. Overall, they seem like good people. But it's shit like that that makes me stop at trusting them. How the fuck do they know that Trump didn't know he had that shit in the bag because of Russia's help? But anyways, this Sky News story. Title is Exclusive. It's from 2 years ago. It's got 1.4 million views. Exclusive. Inside an Islamic State terror weapons lab. And I'm like, oh goody. I wonder how long into the 8-minute video it will take me to identify some Russian shit. They're in Raqqa, Syria, in the heart of Islamic State's little capital, they say. But I didn't even have to wait for that, because after saying, and you can go ahead and search for this video if you want, I'm not gonna do any more playing of other people's fucking material on this channel since YouTube's decided to fuck with me so hardcore. But right after saying that the people that were being trained were from Afghanistan and this, that, and the other country, they cut to another part of the video, and after explaining that the video was not Islamic State propaganda, but now what kind of person would stop at hearing this? Anyways, they were explaining that it was not Islamic State propaganda, but an internal Islamic State video. And then they said that it was a man speaking Russian talking about how to actually attach the explosives to these remote controlled cars. And just as I was like, what are the odds of that not being a Russian guy? That's what they do. It's what they've always done. I mean, you show me a fucking guy in a turban with some nice weapons, I'll show you the Russian that sold it to him, you know? Not, you know, fucking whatever. A magical sand towel. Isn't that what they call them? Magical sand towels? I don't know. I like them though, they're cool. I mean, that's... If you never wrapped a head over your fucking... I mean, if you've never wrapped a head over your towel, you obey the laws of physics. But if you've never wrapped a towel over your head in the summertime, you've never been in the South. But they got, you know, they got to be extra pretty with theirs, and they all got to match. And that's, you know, special. But anyways, just as I was thinking, it's just okay. So the guy that's teaching them how to actually put the explosive shit together. That's a Russian guy. Okay. There couldn't be any more just obvious evidence that Russians were involved there. You know, like all the other evidence that I provided. Let's see. Look at that. On this little Sky News video here. Is that Arabic? Chinese? No, that's Russian, isn't it? That's fucking Russian. And you know, just in case, you know, as if I haven't proven that everything I fucking do is legit already. There you go.
Stockpiles of massive explosives. Remember, this video is of the terror group itself. It's not the usual Islamic State propaganda. Turkey, an Islamic State defector, confirmed that a top-secret training program was known about in Raqqa, his hometown.
Yeah. That's the random couple of seconds that I can show with confidence. So anyways. So, just as I suspected, because of the title of this video and because of the relevance of the intro, we had a monitor show up and now there's nobody watching. I had started the live stream and then not actually went live until about 5 or 10 minutes later, thinking that I might actually get, you know, enough people's attention or anything in case somebody had a device open. You know, it says stream starting soon. That's what it does when I have the thing up, but I haven't started yet. But anyways, I had anticipated exactly this result because of the title of the video. Just as I anticipated that we would have some new viewers when I started complaining about the lack of real new viewers. I think it was great how we had the German viewer, and I'm like, could you please translate the following sentence from German into English? Aus der Heimat hinter den Blitzen rot, da kommet die Wolken her. Aber Vater und Mutter sind lang gedot. Okay, yeah, let's make a country version of a classical German fucking... You know another great thing about my ultimate cell phone design? Never mind. It can take over the world. Okay. But anyways. So yeah, that was pretty predictable. It's nice to have seen some people that have actually been here for a while, if those were legitimate people, but maybe a person from Australia, because I did try to get a lot of people from Australia to the channel. That would make sense. And they were seemingly realistic and didn't go out of their way to annoy me. Yeah, as rare as that is. So, had some fake people, didn't work. Send a notification or two out. Oh, he's on to us. And it's not as though they have to have a person making these decisions in real time. They just have to have had made these contingencies and simply programmed it into a responsive algorithm. It's not that hard to do. And they've been doing it for years to eliminate the need for customer service, basically. Anyways. So, the most dangerous thing about Donald Trump is that he remains president because of the nation's ignorance of a fundamental geostrategic fact, and that is that Russia supports international terrorism. Period. And they always have. The further back in history you look, the more clear it becomes. There's nothing that has happened that they weren't at least possibly involved in. Yeah, this got blamed on the CIA, that got blamed on the Israelis. But when it comes to shit that was actually proven who done it, when it comes to shooting down civilian airliners in plain sight. That's the kind of people you gotta look to for who would do such things in secret. I mean, you know, if you got two guys, Johnny and Steve, alright? Johnny's got a gun. But Steve, he just goes around fucking shooting people, shooting cats and shooting birds and shooting rats and whatever the fuck he sees. He just likes to shoot anything that moves. And then one day somebody you know gets shot. And all over the internet it says Johnny did it. Johnny ain't never shot shit. Unless it was shooting at him. And that person was Steve's enemy. Him and Johnny got along just fine. Johnny had nothing to do with that motherfucker. But there's all these stories, all this gossip on Facebook and shit. Johnny shot him. Steve's enemy. Who you think shot him? Johnny or Steve? Johnny didn't shoot that motherfucker. Because Johnny don't go around shooting motherfuckers. Steve shot that motherfucker. Because that was Steve's enemy. I don't care what the fuck the internet says. Because guess what else is Steve is good at besides shooting motherfuckers? He's good at spreading rumors. Oh, Steve and Johnny. Giggling at the irony of the choice of what names there. Princess Stephanie, full of shit. What? But anyways, so the way it really just got cemented into my head that these people are fucking terrorists is what was going on in Ukraine. The tactics that they were using. They were not just guerrilla tactics, they were terrorist style tactics. And deceptive and just insidious. Bombing a village with mortars just to invite RT there to say that it was the Ukrainians. And then fucking Ukrainians would be talking about, like, okay, look at the maps. This is where our troops are. That we can't even fucking get there if we tried. Over and over again, this fucking happened. And they got caught dead on. Like, they found one of the fucking mortars team. Like, what camera crew found one of the fucking mortar teams and was like asking the guy questions and shit. And he was, you know, being of the evasive level that you could tell he was full of shit and he was guilty. And they were blowing up fucking buildings at random. They'd fucking had this really suspicious random bus blow up inside of Russia. Um, and then what really made me realize that these people were the ones that were ruthless enough to be. I mean, they're so ruthless and so lacking in basic human empathy that there's no reason for them to have stopped. You know, because the Soviets used to supply them, so there's no reason for these guys to have stopped. And I'm just like starting to think, well, how long have they been our enemies? How long has it been like this, that they've felt this way, that they've been this way, and we've just been thinking that peace could happen? And then they launched sulfur on some Ukrainian villages. Now that's it's a canister now, what it looks like. Um, it used to be basically sloppily and dangerously put into a big fucking wide mortar and shot. But now they have these canisters that look like they're on parachutes. And they just rain this stream of molten fucking sulfur down. And like houses, just everything just disappears. I mean, the way that shit burns, the way it ignites everything, that sets off like chemical reactions and shit that make remains look pretty horrifying if there's anything left. It's just a cruel, cruel weapon. And it's so much more effective than like scatter bombs or anything like that, cluster bombs. It covers a really wide area. And it doesn't just like, spread shrapnel that kills things. It just obliterates everything. And, any computers or books or paperwork or anything, that's gone, man. Like steel safes be melted through. And what really made me start looking forwards and backwards in history and like keeping an eye on everything that was going to happen from then on between Russia and every fucking Islamic area, and just looking back through history and all of recorded anything that I could find and seeing what more connections there were. It was when, after the Russians were caught on video, and this is the reason why the Russians had the objective of getting YouTube to suppress people like me. After the Buk missile launcher crossed into Ukraine, MH17 was shot down, killing 298 fucking people. Most of them Dutch. And then it was filmed the following day going back into Russia, -1 missile. And I saw this right after I had seen something else that was, supported by Ukraine, reported by Support Ukraine type news people. And that was that Kadyrov had rallied 20,000 troops and they were supposedly going to go to Ukraine. But they were all Islamic troops. They all had little crescents on them, and they all, on the video, swear allegiance to Putin and then screamed together, Allahu Akbar, aluminum achy bombs, whatever, 3 times. And this big wave of 20,000 men would have been easily noticeable at the front in Mariupol. It would have swept through central Ukraine, or they would have taken Mariupol, one of the two, if it went there, okay? Because they were already pretty fucking belligerent in Ukraine while that was being filmed. So there was already plenty of it. They were already advancing into Ukraine, with not minimal resistance, but meeting fairly ineffective resistance. Okay, they were certainly the belligerents until they got dug in around Mariupol. And if they would have had that 20,000 men, they would have taken Mariupol, all right, at this point. But then, instead of a big wave of stuff happening in Ukraine, that Buk missile launcher thing happened, and MH17 got shot down, and the news media started talking about it, and then 48 hours later, Mosul fell to the Islamic State. And I have found video after video. And different reports here and there corroborating it. that there are plenty of Russians, namely from Chechnya and Dagestanis and a lot of different people who look exactly like those men that Kadyrov rallied, carrying the exact same equipment that those men carried, raiding the prison in northern Syria that kind of released Islamic State to begin with. And, well, right after this contingent of 20,000 troops rallied, something scared the Iraqis in Mosul enough to abandon their fucking military bases. You know, we all heard about how they got all the American equipment. What about some escaped prisoners would scare the Iraqi army that bad? Nothing. But if 20,000 Russians were coming, oh yeah, they might just be like, oh, okay, fuck this shit. I was out here to fight jihadis, not the goddamn Chechen army. The Russian army. And in fact, worse than what you might picture. You know, even if you're picturing something advanced, okay, you're just a naive little fool who's watched too much Discovery Channel. I was once one of those. Um, you're talking about hardened fucking mercenaries that fucking eat dirt and shit grenades, okay? Like, these guys, fucking plane gonna see them, you know? Like, they're used to moving around in the mountains and caves and shit. And when they show up, you ain't gonna fucking know where they show up from to begin with. And once they're in the damn city, they're gonna be running circles around your men. Because they're in fucking little 3 and 5 man units that can fucking each one of them take on 100 motherfuckers by themselves. I'm telling you, you can teach some guys to shoot, teach them how to climb obstacles, teach them how to march in line. But when it comes to hiding behind a fucking rock and watching shit explode, it's how do I put this? It's a situation most people want to avoid. Therefore, the ones who've done it more are better at it. You know? It's kind of like eating pussy. I mean, which is weird because we're talking about chauvinists, and chauvinists usually aren't very good at eating pussy. Anyways, I'm thinking way too hard about that. How much am I wasting my cigarettes here? Not too bad. Nobody fucking watching yet. You see, I had kind of wondered whether or not it made a difference what the title says. You know, I've been doing these single word title broadcasts a lot lately. I was just kind of gonna experiment. How many people want to know the unreported truth about terrorism? Maybe it's the face. Oh, maybe there's 1,000 people right now just passing it up because of the face I'm making. Oh, yeah, sure. Anyways. So 48 hours after the Russians shot down a plane murdering almost 300 fucking Europeans while they were trying to invade Europe. 48 hours later, that's when Mosul fell. So the news cycle went from these poor people that got shot down, this investigation, blah, blah, blah. Oh, the Russians say this, the Dutch say that, the Ukrainians say this, the EU says that. 48 hours of that, and then we're on to, oh my God, the Iraqis. Might have been bribed, by the way. That's really plausible, actually. Just thought of that. Why did it take me so long to think of that? The Iraqis either knew that it was the fucking Chechens were coming and abandoned their shit and left, or got bribed and abandoned their shit and left. When you think about it, it's a little bit of both. You know? Yeah, you got all your fancy American equipment. For all you know, they're coming with fucking state-of-the-art Russian equipment. You don't know. I mean, it was mercenaries with RPGs, but they were fucking Russian trained, okay? And most of them Chechen fighters, for fuck's sake. Which means they can go to war anywhere they want, anytime they want, because they're Chechens, and nobody can go fucking attack them back because they live in Chechnya, and who the fuck wants to try to attack that? You know? That's pretty much why they own everything to the north of that. That's your white Russians, that group of Muslims. That's something that the skinheads should probably know about. That's all I'm saying. Like, you want to know how fucking superior you are, Mr. White Master Race? You've been duped by Muslims into betraying your country. Hello to kitten. How you doing? Okay. I'm your bed. I understand. So, anyway. Now, since then, I found basically Mongolian troops riding Russian equipment in North Korea. photographed, documented evidence from the fucking parades, okay? Compared to known Russian equipment with insignia and and coding and everything, like the numbers on them, everything. And you know, I got a pretty keen engineering eye. I except for like new cars, I can tell what most cars are by a quarter panel. And when it comes to just recognizing the shapes of different parts of equipment and making sure they're identical, or at least based on the same frame, I'm pretty adept at that. Don't have professional training, just get a lot of experience. And somewhat of a natural talent for it. People who know me might think I'm being modest, even. Um, but anyway, then we found some uniformed troops assisting the Taliban, and these were not United States uniforms. They were the Russian uniforms that are worn by Uzbekistan and Dagestani troops. And then months later, a American general in Afghanistan came out and said that the Russians were helping the Taliban. So the Russian helping the Taliban in 2015, 2016. Okay. And it was the Russians, not the CIA, who helped the Taliban take Afghanistan from the provisional government that the CIA established after helping the Mujahideen kick the Russians out.
No.
Fucking cat was trying to climb on my fish lights again. Dumbass. So, from the beginning, Russians supported the Taliban. Currently, Russians supported the Taliban. Right in the middle is 2001. In 2001, they had T-38 and T-42 tanks that I saw us blowing up. Those fucking things don't make parts for themselves. A tank in the mountains is going to break. It's going to go for a few months, it's going to break something. It's going to go for a few months, it's going to break something. That's just how they work. If you're lucky. Now, the key to understanding Al Qaeda's connection to Russia is in one very nuanced mystery and one very obvious question. I'll start with the obvious question. How did Osama bin Laden know about the USS Cole? You know, it's not like they saw the Cole coming up, this brand new experimental fucking stealth cruiser from the United States military, first in its class. They saw it up, and they just happened to have a bunch of explosives in a boat. And he said, Ahmed, quick, get the boat. Put the dynamite in there. Bing, 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 bing. Honda, boat, boat, boat. No. Jihad, boat, boat, boat. I wasn't even doing it right. Jihad boat, do 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 do. Jihad boat, do 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 do. Jihad boat, do 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 do. Jihad boat. Is that thunder? Apparently, I have offended some ancient being with my jihad boat song. And man, the penetration they got was pretty impressive. Like they knew a good angle of approach or something, you know? Like they had been trained in exactly that. Like they were expecting that boat to come up there. You know, people don't just hang around in harbors with a bunch of dynamite just in case a fucking American experimental warship shows up. They don't do that. The thing is, one thing that I've been trying to get people to do is understand the misconceptions that we once had and how they skewed our perception. We thought the Cold War was over. It wasn't. Especially once Putin had started to rise to power. Which was, by the way, going on behind the scenes throughout the entire Bosnia-Sarajevo conflict. He rose to power because he was in control of the propaganda. See, when you control the propaganda, you can rally the troops, you can decimate your enemies politically, and you can attack other nations and cause them to attack each other. That's the power that Putin wields, the power of deception. That's what makes him basically the current incarnation of the god of war. Some deep shit, dude. But anyways, you see, it's his resume. It's how he rose to power that convinces me that he's not a puppet. That he's the Kagon, the Great Khan. And I don't see records showing him referred to as anything but Vladimir Vladimirovich until '98, when he was rising to power. Isn't that interesting? So when he was basically made Kagon, that was by being given him that name. It wasn't like he was given that name at the same time he was made Kagon. It was being given that name made him cake on. Okay? Just like I tried to explain how in old cultures, um, like really, really, really old cultures. Sorry. Um, People didn't have their names until they earned them. Okay? And that tradition kind of carried into other cultures in different ways. And as far as I can tell, in the Mongolian culture or in the horde hierarchy, lordship that controls the mafia and controls all the different nation states of what we thought of as the Soviet Union. They have their legal name because people need legal names now. But then when they do something great or accomplish something for the glory of the nation, they get named something that relates to that. But I don't know what poutine means in Mongolian, so. All I can do is wonder. Anyways. So we're in a sticky situation where, you know, Russia has supported Gaddafi, who was basically a huge terrorist supplier of arms, supported Assad, who supplied large amounts of weapons and explosives to Baathists that were blowing up American troops in Syria. Russia has supported, Afghanistan, Iran, North Korea, every terrorist state you can think of, basically, this whole time. So for them to get a free pass when it comes to 9/11, it's that same cultural naivety, the failure to go and look. Did we make a mistake in our perception because we thought the Cold War was over? Did we lower our guard? Did we fail to suspect them? And the first person to call on 9/11 was Vladimir Putin. If a mobster's trying to run a racket and some deli owner has his little shop catch on fire, who's usually the first person to call him? What I want to know is, are we conquered? Are we a nation of slaves? All the FBI has to do is fucking come tell me that and pay me to do something else. I have more than enough plans to help us compete in our own little peaceful ways. If I'm saying nothing that people don't already fucking know, and I'm being silenced because people already know it, and it's just like a hush hush thing, and we've just decided to be a bunch of fucking cowards, you gotta let me know that a legal decision has been made. The Congress has to have decided that. Show me where the law passed the American Chicken Shit Act. We, the people, are a bunch of fucking yellow bellied cowards. Russia has now taken the role of Bubba in our lives, and we are its prison bitch. I'm not aware of that law being passed. Until then, America is having its sovereignty violated by Google Incorporated and Yahoo especially. And in doing so are suppressing my fundamental right to free speech. And especially suppressing freedom of press. Anyway. Russia has been the ones pitting religion against religion, religions against atheists, Jews against Muslims, neo-Nazis against Jews, blacks against Jews, Muslims against neo-Nazis, Muslims against fucking capitalism, atheists against Christians, atheists against capitalism. Now we got Christians against capitalism, or at least Trumpists against capitalism. But at the same time, for greedy corruption. They're populists, but they're... what are they? But you can't go back and find a point in time. Really looking at history and say, here's where we won the Cold War. Everybody knows to repeat what they were told. Everybody knows, oh, the Berlin Wall fell, and then, you know, the army, the Soviet army went to Moscow. Okay. Did it ever occur to you that the Soviet army going to Moscow and then deciding to turn around was an exercise to verify to the West that it was okay for them to lower their guard? We're that easy. We're that fucking stupid. That's all it took. We saw that fucking show of a parade. It was a fucking military parade that was just, you know, sloppily done. And that's really all it was. Military parade with a PR message that we didn't know was just a PR message. And we didn't think, what did they send the tanks in there for? because Americans are afraid of tanks. What did those tanks hope to accomplish against their own people in their fucking capital? What were they gonna just start firing rounds, blowing up fucking capital infrastructure built? Like, there was never any intention for those fucking troops to go in there and fire on fucking citizens of Moscow. Are you kidding me? Those troops were told, go in there, pretend you're gonna attack the city, and then pretend to have a change of heart. And that's what they did. They went in there and they pretended to have a change of heart. So we could all see, oh, the Soviet military just wants peace. And its people just want peace. Let's see how much money they have. Because they were all like, here, come see all the oil and fucking shit that we have. Come see all the mining companies and mineral companies and gas and diamonds and gold. Come see all of the things that the Bible says you will go a-whoring after to the scarlet beast. Paid no attention to the big red blob on the map. And they went a-whoring after her. And man, Trump administration is letting them fuck with Bill Browder hard too. Must be scary to be him. Scary enough to be me, shit. But anyways, I guess that's gonna be all for this broadcast since fucking nobody, huh? And the one monitor and then there's nothing. Because YouTube wants to help Russia make sure nobody figures out the connection between Russia and terrorism. Because that would make all of the liars and shills that they've defrauded the American people with look like the liars and shills that they are. Well, YouTube, I guess you should have been defrauding the American people for over a decade on the behalf of a foreign power. That's what you've been doing. It's an act of terror, as far as I'm concerned. What YouTube has done is an act of psychological warfare undertaken against the American people on behalf of a foreign power. And Facebook is guilty of exactly the same thing. But, you know, you may not want to be real about shit, and you may just want to pretend everything's okay and stop defending yourselves. What I'm talking about is defending ourselves, being real about shit. These entities represent a clear and present danger to the United States and should be treated as such. Thanks for watching, whoever winds up watching.